Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tatujayam Udirayet. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. We had some homework from last week. Who did their homework?
Hare Krishna.
Okay, so first, go ahead, Shivani. What's that? Yes, microphone. Use the microphone.
So, if you take part in self-indulgence, then you are following the material conception of life, which is eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. However, if you take part in self-realization, then you are following the spiritual conception of life, which is Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vadanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam.
Very good. Very good. Okay, yes, go ahead. Go ahead. I don't know, this is a different class from last week. Go ahead, Pranay. Yesterday. Okay, well, we'll go over that Monday morning. This is Saturday, Sunday class. And Cody does. Did you do homework from last week?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Self-realization is first step in is realizing that we're not the body nor the mind, but we are eternal souls, and from there we can realize our position in relationship with Krishna. And on the other side is self-indulgence, where one works for the body and the mind and trying to gratify the senses, work really hard to get a better house or whatever would satisfy the senses. It's not working.
Okay. Self-indulgence. Indulgence means engage in sense gratification, basically. You serve your senses. And self-realization means you serve the senses of Krishna. You learn to use your senses in the senses of Krishna, and then all knowledge is revealed to you. So, yeah, part of yesterday's homework from our class was to understand prakasas cha karmani abhyasat. Is that right? Is that yesterday's?
I thought you said to write a little about paragraph 7.
Yeah, well, what's paragraph 7 about? Prakasas cha karmani abhyasat.
I think it's how anybody can take up devotional service.
Yes, but what happens when you take up devotional service? Yes. You'll be enlightened with transcendental knowledge. So, self-realization differs from self-indulgence. By self-indulgence, one goes farther away from Krishna, one becomes dumber and starts believing things like Darwinism, we all come from monkeys. You have to be really stupid to believe such a thing. And people become convinced that the goal of life is sense gratification, self-indulgence. But if you engage in Krishna's service, then spiritual knowledge is revealed to you. That's what self-realization is all about. You realize that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You can never be equal or greater than Krishna. You're always subordinate to Krishna, and that the goal of life is devotional service. So therefore, when you take up devotional service, it has no prerequisites. It's not that you have to know Math 101, or you have to be born in a certain family, like family of Brahmanas. It requires no previous education, no previous qualification. Anyone can take up to it. And if anyone takes to devotional service, then in a wonderful way, Krishna reveals the knowledge, because all knowledge comes from Krishna. He's the super soul. Therefore, self-realization is a transcendental process by which prakasascha karmani abhyasat, one becomes enlightened simply by doing devotional service. Who's the example of that? Who never went to school and Narada Muni. He never went to school. He became totally enlightened. And he's the greatest sage in the universe. Greatest person who has wisdom in the universe. He's a disciple, he's the guru of Vyasadeva. How did he become a guru of Vyasadeva if he never studied, if he never went to school? Because he was enlightened. Therefore Krishna says, Atakshi Krishnanama Dina Bhaved Gayam Indriyai Sevan Mukhe Hi Jivado Swayam Eva Spurat Yada, which means it is impossible to understand Krishna with the blunt material senses, meaning using the empirical system of knowledge. What is the empirical system of knowledge? Who knows? We've gone over this many times. What is empiricism? Nobody? All right. Puja, what is empiricism?
Empiricism is basically what we do with our senses. We estimate or we speculate based on our senses what we can see.
Yes, that is empiricism. And so, normally we associate with, there are three types of pramanas, evidence by which you can differentiate the truth from ignorance. So what are those three types of evidence? What are the Vedic pramanas? Huh? Pratyaksha? No. Anumana and Shabda. Pratyaksha means direct perception. Anumana means inference. If there's smoke, there must be what, Pranay? Are you sitting in the class?
Yes.
How come you don't know, can't answer my question? But that's not helping yourself with understanding, right? If he has a problem with a definition, you raise your hand and ask a question. You don't have to get the information from Pranay. Or Pranay can give you the information after the class. But in the class, we must listen with complete attention. Okay? Oh, actually, let's see. Go wake up Omar. He's in that mechanical room. Pratyaksha means direct perception. Anumana means inference. What does inference mean? And what's the example of it? Yes.
An educated guess.
Yes. And what's an example? If you see smoke, what can you infer?
It's fire.
It must be fire. Is that 100% sure? Is it 100% sure? No, it's not. I told you one day I saw what I thought was a huge amount of smoke, but when I looked more carefully, it was just a cloud formation. There was no smoke. There was no smoke, but it looked like smoke. So you're never absolutely sure by inference. Are you absolutely sure by physically seeing something with your eyes? No. So today we're going to learn the difference between real pratyaksha and faulty pratyaksha. Pratyaksha means direct observation. And the third type of evidence is shabda. That means hearing from a perfect authority. And even though you're imperfect, if you hear from a perfect authority, you can get perfect knowledge. Yeah. Okay, so now this verse, let's look in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, verse number 8. Chapter 6, verse number 8. Let's write that down. Chapter 6, verse number 8. 6.8. 6.8 says, Jnana Vijnana Chipta Atma Kutasto Vijitendriya Yukti Hi Uchite Yogi Samalostrasma Lochana Kanchana Samalostrasma Kanchana. So this is a very important verse. 6th chapter, verse 8, which says, okay, someone read the, let's see, guess who's going to place 6 feet? KP. Come sit right here, KP, right next to me. I want to see you. Right there, yes. Take that smile off your face. There's nothing to smile about. Yeah. Okay, sit this way. We don't... Sit. I want to look at you. No, sit more. No, come on. Sit right in that corner, facing this. That's it. Very good. Okay, how are you today, KP?
Good.
Good. Are you going to do any nonsense during the class?
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know? No, you're not going to do it, right? I'm going to be watching you the whole time. Okay. KP is actually a very smart boy. He's very intelligent. But he likes to do nonsense. He can't stop. It's like a disease, right? But if he focuses, he's very smart. Okay, so Jnana Vijnana Chiptatma Kutasto Vijitendriya Yukta Iti Uchite Yogi Samalostrasma Kanchana. Who's going to read the translation of that verse? Go ahead. Yeah. Microphone.
A person is said to be established in self-realization and is called a yogi or mystic when he is fully satisfied by virtue of acquired knowledge and self-realization.
And realization. Go ahead.
Such a person is situated in transcendence and is self-controlled. He sees everything, whether it be pebbles, stones, or gold, as the same.
Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Go ahead, read the first paragraph.
Book knowledge without realization of the supreme truth is useless.
Okay, let's discuss this point. Book knowledge without self-realization is useless. Who wants to say something about this? Book knowledge without self-realization is book knowledge without realization of the supreme truth is useless. Who wants to say something besides Puja Mataji? Anybody else want to say something? Okay, Yamuna, say something. Book knowledge without self-realization, without realization of the supreme truth is useless. Give her the microphone. What does that mean? Book knowledge without realization of the supreme truth is useless. Put the microphone on.
It means that you can read a book, but if you don't have any realization of the supreme, like the book is useless because you don't know how to use it properly.
It means that if you read a book and you don't see how it relates to Krishna, that knowledge is useless because it will not help you go back to Godhead. Now, let's say you're reading a science book and it says that the sun is 93 million miles from the earth, and that's all it says. Will that knowledge help you go back to Godhead? No. But if that same book was written in the following way, the sun is considered one eye of Krishna, and the light of the sun is a reflection of the Brahma Jyoti, the spiritual effulgence coming from Krishna. Will that scientific explanation help you go back to Godhead? Yes, because it's realization of supreme truth. It's knowledge that relates to Krishna. It's scientific knowledge, it's talking about the sun, right? But it gives you real knowledge, and you see how it's related to Krishna. So, write this down. Material conception of life versus VERSES, the spiritual conception of life. You should learn the difference between the two. And this will be your homework for next week. Material conception of life versus the spiritual conception of life. What is the material conception of life? Yes, Puja. Mataji.
So, material conception of life is that I am this body, I am the owner of this body, this is my car, this is my house, everything related to my body which I have and my bodily relationship, my parents, my nation, my kinsmen.
Right.
My job.
Very good. What is the spiritual conception of life? Anybody? Yes, Shivani. Is the answer Did you say
No, sorry. The spiritual conception of life is knowing that I'm not this body, but I'm this soul, and serving Krishna, and Shravanam Kirtanam.
But when you see things, let's say you see a bus, you see a mountain, you see a bird, you see the sun, you see a picture of Darwin, what do you know? Or how do you see it? How do you see those things? How do you see the picture of Darwin? Actually, he was a pretty ugly guy. What do you see? How do you see it?
You search it up. You search him up on Google.
No, that's not how you see it. The spiritual conception of, yes? Yes, spiritual conception is you see everything in relationship to Krishna, even Darwin. Although Darwin didn't see himself in relationship with Krishna, but you are not stupid like Darwin. However, what is the material conception of life? Yes?
You see things separated from Krishna.
You see everything separate from Krishna. You don't see the connection to Krishna. So that's the difference between the spiritual conception and the material conception. So, when we engage in devotional service and we're interested in hearing and chanting about Krishna. Oh, by the way, what is everyone going to do Sunday night when the class begins around 6:30? Yes, Sanskriti.
Goes downstairs to eat food.
No, but what are you going to do?
I'm going to attend class.
Yes, we should all attend the class. If the kids all attend the class, then the parents will be shamed into attending the class. Do you know what that means, to be shamed into attending the class? Anyone know what that means? What's the English meaning of that? Be shamed into doing something. Yes, Shivani.
Embarrassed.
Huh?
Embarrassed.
Yes. Parents are initiated devotees, right? But whenever there's a class, they don't attend. Does that make sense? No, it doesn't make sense. However, you're not even initiated, but you learned the importance of attending class because you learned something in the class, right? So what are you going to do Sunday night when there's a class?
10.
Haribol. Yes. Listen carefully to the class. If you listen carefully, you will learn. If you don't listen, will you learn? No. You can be in the class and not listen. Is that possible?
No.
Yes, it's possible. Go wake up Omar again. That's all right. He's not here though. Go wake up. No, yes, you can. You can sit in the class and not listen. It's possible. Many people do it. If you ask a person after class, what was the class about? They say, oh, it was very interesting. Yeah, but what was it about? Oh, there were so many points that were made. Okay, mention one point. Oh, he was talking about Krishna. Is that an answer? No, they can't even remember one point in the class. Because why? They were not really listening. It is possible to sit in a class, not understand anything, because one is not critically listening. Critically listening. That doesn't mean you're listening to criticize. That means you're listening with utmost attention and you're considering every point. And if there's something you don't understand, you ask a question. All right. Okay. So, this the homework yesterday in the regular class was read chapters 7 and 8 of Bhagavad Gita, 9th chapter, 2nd verse, which says, Rajavidya Rajaguyam Pavitram Idam Uttamam Pratyakshavagamham Dharmam Susukam Kartam Avyayam. So, this verse is all about Rajavidya. This knowledge is the king of education. Rajaguyam. This is the most secret of all secrets. Pavitam idam uttamam. This is the purest knowledge because it gives direct perception of the self by realization, therefore is the perfection of religion. It is everlasting and is joyfully performed. Okay? So, in that purport, it quotes a verse, Prakasas cha karmani abhyasat, which means that one, without any previous qualification, becomes enlightened in Krishna consciousness by performing devotional service. So what is the goal of Krishna conscious knowledge? What is the goal of Bhagavad Gita? What is the goal of all Vedic knowledge? Huh? Yes. Yes. It's all about Vedaischa sarver aham eva vedya. Bhagavad Gita 15:15. Krishna is the goal of all knowledge, all Vedic knowledge. So to know Krishna, but how do you know Krishna? Bhaktyamam abhijananti yavanyas chasmi tattvato tattvatad. So you can only know Krishna by engaging in devotional service. So therefore the goal of reading Bhagavad Gita is to become convinced that I will always engage in devotional service the rest of my life, in the association of devotees. If you do this, Krishna promises that you will be enlightened. It does not require any previous qualification. You don't have to know Math 101, you don't have to know English 101, you don't have to know anything. Did Narada Muni know anything? Was he educated? No, he had no education at all. He didn't go to school. And yet, he's the #1 sage in the whole universe. He's the guru of Vyasadeva, who wrote all the Vedas. How is that possible? He never went to school. How is it possible? Huh? He rendered service to pure devotees, ate the remnants of their food, and listened carefully to their discourses. And then he developed the taste by doing that of hearing and chanting, Shravanam Kirtanam. And then he continued the rest of his life, hearing and chanting about Krishna. And he became perfectly educated, so educated, he's the guru of Vyasadeva. You see? So, therefore, there's another verse which is in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, where Srila Rupa Goswami says, Atakshi Krishna nama di na bhavet graham indriyai sevan mukhe hi jivado swayam eva spurat yata. Look up Bhagavad Gita 6th chapter verse 8, which is what was read just now. Bhagavad Gita 6th chapter verse 8. Okay, so yeah, so you can read it again. What does it say? A person is, go ahead.
A person is said to be established in self-realization and is called a yogi or mystic when he is fully satisfied by virtue of acquired knowledge and realization. Such a person is situated in transcendence and is self-controlled. He sees everything, whether it be pebbles, stones, or gold, as the same.
Okay, now read the purport.
Book knowledge without realization of the supreme truth is useless. This is stated as follows.
Just read the English. No one can.
No one can understand the transcendental nature of the name, form, quality, and pastimes of Sri Krishna through his materially contaminated senses. Only when one becomes spiritually saturated by transcendental service to the Lord are the transcendental name, form, quality, and the pastimes of the Lord revealed to him. This Bhagavad Gita is the science of Krishna consciousness. No one can become Krishna conscious.
Let me ask you a question. Are we studying science right now? Yes?
Yeah.
Answer? Is it science?
Yes.
What does science mean? What does science mean? Okay. Yes? Yes, but more specifically. Yes, Sanskrit. What?
Science is understanding Krishna.
Yes, understanding Krishna, but knowing things as they are, understanding Krishna. But more specifically, science is knowledge that's verifiable everywhere, in Japan, in America, in South America, in North America, in the South Pole, the North Pole, China. Everywhere it's verifiable. It's not something that is only true in a particular reference frame. This is the supreme science. Therefore, it's true everywhere. It's true on the Earth, it's true on Mars, it's true on Venus, it's true on Brahmaloka, it's true on Patalaloka, it's true everywhere. That's the real science. Okay. And what is that science? Krishna is the Supreme Personality Godhead. We are all subordinate to Krishna, and the goal of life is to serve Krishna in devotional service. That's science. Because that's true everywhere. And that's knowing things as they actually are, knowing things in truth. And that's knowing about Krishna. Okay? So today, whenever we study Bhagavad Gita, it is a science class. Real science, not junk science. Junk science is learning things that may be true in a particular limited reference frame. Like in America, you drive on the right-hand side, or left-hand side. And in India, drive on the right-hand side. That's junk science. You can only verify that in England and India. They drive on the left-hand side. And in America and France, they drive on the right-hand side. Right? That's like junk science. It's only true in a particular reference frame. But real science is true everywhere. Everywhere in the whole universe, not just on the earth. That means it's real science. Okay, so now continue to read. What is mundane scholarship? What is mundane scholarship? What does the word mundane mean? Yes? What? Maybe what? Learn? No. Mundane means, yes, okay. Pooja wants to answer this question. Go ahead. What does mundane mean?
Mundane means routine, which is like we do it in the material life.
Mundane, okay, mundane refers to what you can understand with your imperfect senses. It's of this world. Mundane actually means of this world. Mundane comes from the French word monde, M-O-N-D-E, which means the material world. Yes, Shivani. Get the microphone. Get the microphone.
Wait, so we're
M-U-N-D-A-N-E. M-U-N-D-A-N-E. Yes, go ahead.
Mundane means lacking interest or excitement or dull. And the example is seeking a way out of his mundane humdrum existence.
Yeah, that's called material life. Humdrum existence. What does humdrum mean? How do you spell it? H-U-M-D-R-U-M? Yeah. Yes. Hum, is there a dash between the two words? No? Just humdrum. Okay. Humdrum existence. What does humdrum existence mean? Yeah, it's boring. It's boring. It's like doing nonsense. It's boring, actually. It's the same thing rehashed over and over again. After a while, you get bored. Do you get bored, Krishna Priya, doing nonsense? Yes? Okay. At least you didn't say, I don't know. Yes. Yeah, it's boring. But actually, mundane means pertaining to this world. And this world is actually a boring place. Because it's the same thing over and over again. What's the same thing over and over again? Birth, old age, disease, and death. Birth, old age, disease, and death. Birth, old age, disease. It just keeps going on and on and on. It's boring. No real variety. Okay, so go ahead.
One must be fortunate enough to associate with a person who is in pure consciousness. A Krishna conscious person has realized knowledge by the grace of Krishna because he is satisfied with pure devotional service. By realized knowledge, one becomes perfect. By transcendental knowledge, one can remain steady one can remain steady in his convictions. But by mere academic knowledge, one can be easily deluded and confused by apparent contradictions.
What's academic knowledge? What is academic knowledge? Yes.
The things that they teach you in school?
Yes. Yes. Is academic knowledge, well, it's usually pertaining only to the body and the 8 material elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, false ego. And it's learned by hearing, studying, and taking tests. Do they teach you to think logically in academic knowledge? Do you learn to think logically in academic knowledge? Well, if you asked an academic, they would say yes. However, according to Krishna consciousness, the answer is no. Now, one time, a man asked Prabhupada a question. He said, Prabhupada, I wanted to ask you a logical question. Let's assume that God does not exist. And then Prabhupada said, stop! He said, wait a minute, Prabhupada, I didn't ask the question yet. He said, stop! He said, but I didn't ask the question. Stop! He said, that is not a logical question. And the person was shocked. He said, wait a minute, I didn't even ask the question. He said, stop! He said, that's not a logical question. He said, I don't understand. He said, that's like asking a question by assuming that a living entity does not have a mother and father. Is it true that a living entity does not have a mother and father, or a human being doesn't have a mother and father? Is that true? So if you assume that a living being doesn't have a mother and father, it's not a logical question. Right? So, who's the original father of all living entities? Krishna. So, how can it be a logical question, or a question based on sound logic, if you assume something that's not true? You see? See how smart Prabhupada is? He stopped him because he made a mistake of logic. Logic means that you always can relate something back to Krishna. Now, if he says, let's assume a God that doesn't exist, how can you relate it back to Krishna? You see? So it's an illogical question. So academic knowledge is based on what you can perceive with your senses. Now, can you perceive Krishna with the materially contaminated senses? Answer is no. Atakshi Krishna namadi, nabhavet graham indriyai. Right? We just read that. And it says that no one can understand the transcendental nature of the name, form, quality, and pastimes of Sri Krishna through his materially contaminated senses. Only when one becomes spiritually saturated by transcendental service to the Lord are the transcendental name, form, quality, and pastimes of the Lord revealed to him. Okay? Okay, so go ahead. You were reading.
Is the realized soul who is actually self-controlled? He is surrendered to Krishna.
He is transcendental because he has nothing to do with mundane scholarship.
Whoa, he has nothing to do with mundane scholarship. What does mundane mean again? Yes, Sanskriti? Yes, it has the implication that it's boring. And humdrum. Okay, I'm going to teach you a new word now. Write this word down. Hackneyed. 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 H-A-C-K-N-E-Y-E-D, hackneyed. What does hackneyed mean? This is a good word to know. Look it up on the internet. So what does hackneyed mean? Yes?
Lacking significance through having been overused, unoriginal, and tried.
Okay. So it basically means humdrum language, boring, and rehashed all the time. You know, it's just like, you know, they say, we all come from monkeys. You know, there's nobody on the moon. You know, the goal of life is sense gratification. It's the same old, same old, same old, as they say, in the same mold, right? As they say in English. Yes?
So it says like not interesting because of being used to the opposite.
Yeah, it's not interesting. How many times have you heard we all come from monkeys? Besides here. Yeah. So and not only it's overused, but it is wrong also. It's actually ignorance. Ignorance means you believe what is right is wrong, and what is wrong is right. So it's okay. So go ahead, finish.
For him, mundane scholarship and mental speculation, which may be as good as gold to others, are no greater value than pebbles or stones.
Mundane scholarship and mental speculation. This is exactly what you're taught in the public schools. Mundane scholarship and mental speculation. Either you learn to speculate mentally, or you learn to accept the mental speculation of other imperfect people. Okay? And mundane scholarship, only what you can ascertain with your imperfect senses. Then we go back to 9.2, paragraph number 6, where it says prakasascha karmani abhyasat, and that means it's one of the sutras of the Vedanta Sutra 3.2.26, and it says devotional service is so potent. Who knows what potent means? Potent, P-O-T-E-N-T. Who knows what potent means? Okay, Omar, what does potent mean? Okay, it doesn't mean It doesn't mean like either.
Powerful and
What?
like strong, powerful.
Yes, it means very powerful. So, devotional service is so potent, so powerful, that simply by engaging in the activities of devotional service, one becomes enlightened without a doubt. And then a second definition is given on the next paragraph, where again it is in the same paragraph, it's quoted a second time, where it says, at the end of that paragraph, prakasascha karmani abhyasat, if one is engaged simply in the acts of devotional service, everything is revealed to him automatically, and he can understand. Is that what happened to Dhruva Maharaj? Everything was revealed to him, and then he was able to understand? Is that true or false? Huh? Yeah, he didn't go to school either. He was too young. He's 5 years old. Everything was revealed to him. As soon as he followed Narada Muni's instructions, he saw Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu was pleased by his determination, and he blessed him with all knowledge. So now the next point is, it says, this is called pratyaksha, directly perceived, real pratyaksha. So in other words, the same contaminated senses, once they're purified, you can directly see Krishna, directly hear Krishna, Right now we can't directly see or hear Krishna because our senses are contaminated. But when the senses become purified, the same senses can directly see Krishna. That's the real meaning of pratyaksha. The lesser meaning of pratyaksha is what you can only see with the contaminated senses. The real meaning of pratyaksha, direct perception, is what? Krishna P. The real meaning of pratyaksha. You don't know. Okay, listen carefully. The real meaning of pratyaksha is when your senses are purified, you can actually see Krishna. You can talk with him. You can hear him talk back to you. And the lesser meaning of pratyaksha is only what you can see or hear with your contaminated senses, which is very little compared to the same senses when they are purified. Everything in the material world is contaminated, but still the material world is, material energy is spiritual. So if you get rid of the contamination, then you can begin to see spiritually. Just like Sanjaya is sitting in Delhi, but he can hear what's happening in Kurukshetra in real time. Kurukshetra, how far is Kurukshetra from Delhi? 2.5 hours. So it's about 100 miles? Huh? 100 kilometers.
200,
Huh? 200 kilometers. So it's about 120, 130 miles. So, can you hear what's going on 1 mile from here? No. But he could hear and see also what was happening 130 miles away from him in real time. That was as it was happening. It was not like, with 1 hour delay or 5 hour delay. In real time, he was able to see. Would you like to have that power? Yeah, that's something we should strive for. Is it possible? Yes. What is holding us back? Nonsense. That's the only thing holding us back, is being preoccupied with nonsense. If we give up nonsense and take up good sense, we'll be able to access the higher pratyaksha, seeing Krishna directly, hearing Krishna directly. Did Dhruva Maharaj see Krishna? Yes, by following strictly his guru, who was Dhruva Maharaj's guru? Narada Muni. He followed him strictly. Who is our guru? Prabhupada, who's a representative of the whole parampara, including Narada Muni. Right? So if we strictly follow Prabhupada's instructions, then we can go to the higher level of pratyaksha. We can directly see Krishna with purified senses and hear Krishna and talk to Krishna. Did Dhruva Maharaj talk with Krishna? Did Prahlad Maharaj talk with Krishna? Yeah. Did Narada Muni, can Narada Muni talk to Krishna anytime he wants? Can he go and see him anytime he wants? Yeah. This is, now you see this. Can you do that by learning we come from monkeys? No. You'll be able to see monkeys, yeah. You're not going to see Krishna. You see? Now you're beginning to understand the value of spiritual knowledge as opposed to mundane knowledge. So today we learned the difference between spiritual and mundane knowledge. Today we learned the word hackneyed, right? We learned the word mundane. We learned prakasascha karmani abhyasat. And Atak Shri Krishna Nama Dina Bhavedrayam Indriyai Sevan Mukhehi Jivado Swayam Eva Spuratyada. Write down all these things. Next week you'll be tested on them. You should know what all these things, all these words mean. Okay, we'll finish right after the opening of the deities. Hare Krishna. Today I'm going to see who leaves their notes behind from last week. I've memorized where everyone's sitting. I'm going to see who leaves in here and walks out without the
Stand close to them.
Yeah, I'm laughing with it.
Yeah. Tinandana Brajabara Nagara Gokula Ranjana Kana Gopi Paranadana Madana Manohara Kaliya Damana Vidana Amala Harina Mamiya Vilasa Vipina Purandara Navina Nagara Bora Bansi Vadana Subhasa Brajana Palana Surakulana Sana Nanda Godana Rakuvala Govinda Madhava Navanita Taskara Sundara Nanda Gopala Yamuna Tatachara Gopi Basanahara Rasarasika Kripamoya Shri Radha Vallabha Vrindavana Natabara Bhakti Vinodashaya Yashomati Nandana Brajabara Nagara Gokula Ranjana Kana Gopi Paranadana Madana Manohara Kaliya Damana Vidana Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Radha Nila Madhav Radha Nila Madhav Radhe. Jayo Jagannatha, Jayo Jagannatha, Jayo Baladeva, Jayo Subhadra. Jayo Sitaram, Jayo Sitaram, Jayo Sitaram, Jayo Lakshman Hanuman. Jayo Lakshmi Narasimha, Jayo Lakshmi Narasimha, Jayo Lakshmi Narasimha, Jayo Lakshmi Narasimha. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo.
So we're going to finish up now by a summary of what we discussed today. So today, we discussed chapter 6, verse 8. And we read the purport. 6:8. And it says, a person is said to be established in self-realization and is called a yogi or mystic when he is fully satisfied by virtue of acquired knowledge and realization. What gives satisfaction to materialists? Is it acquired knowledge and realization that I'm the servant of Krishna? Okay, Sanskriti. Yes, and money. A lot of money. And because money can be used to get a lot of sense gratification, right? So who is like that? Whose name is money and sense gratification? Yes? No. Come on. No. Yes? Exactly right. Hiranyakashipu. He was the number one example of someone interested in money and sense gratification. Hiranya means gold, and Kashipu means a soft bed for sense gratification, right? So materialists are interested in not acquired knowledge, but acquired money and sense gratification, not realization. But devotees are interested in? Yes, but acquired knowledge. They're satisfied, they're interested in Krishna, but they're satisfied by acquired knowledge of Krishna and realization of Krishna. That's what gives them satisfaction. Whereas the materialists, they feel satisfaction by increasing how much money they have, and along with that, increasing all the sense gratification they have. Okay? Such a person who's fully satisfied by virtue of, so write this down, virtue of, that's a nice phrase in English, virtue, V-I-R-T-U-E, of. Virtue of means by means of, by, yes, V-I-R-T-U-E, V-I-R-T-U-E, by virtue of, it means by means of, by virtue of acquired knowledge and realization. Such a person is situated in transcendence and is self-controlled. This is the symptom of a devotee. What does it mean to be situated in transcendence, Keshav? You have any idea? And self-control. Okay, it's the opposite of being situated in ignorance and lacking self-control. So what does it mean, be situated in transcendence? Yes, always thinking, let's give him the microphone. Where's the microphone? It disappeared? Where did the microphone go? Here it comes. Microphone went away. Yes.
It means always thinking of Krishna and knowing and not not doing anything involving sense gratification.
Yeah, but no, you are satisfying your senses, but through Krishna, by respecting Krishna Prasadam, by talking about Krishna, by looking at Krishna, by serving Krishna, you're using your senses. You're not a Mayavadi denying the senses. You're using the senses, but you're using the senses in relationship with Krishna, right? Okay, Yamuna, what did I just say? With what? Yes, okay. Okay, so such a person is situated in transcendence and is self-controlled. So are the people engaging in sense gratification self-controlled? No, they lose control of themselves. He sees everything, whether it be pebbles, stone, or gold, as the same. So if I put in front of you pebbles, stones, and gold, would you see them as the same? No. No. That's actually a very advanced stage of life. But you can attain that state by cultivating, by living in transcendence and being self-controlled. Actually, gold is compared to yellow stool. What does that mean? Gold is compared to yellow stool.
Gold is like yellow stool.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yes.
So probably we can have that much gold or this much gold, but it doesn't have any meaning, because at the end of at the stroke of life, everything, at the stroke of life, everything would be lost. So
The stroke of life. This is a misuse of a phrase, the stroke of life. It's not used properly, stroke of life.
at the end of life.
Okay, end of life. It's useless. It's not going to help save your life, right?
Where equal to the stool, to the yellow stool means it's
Okay, what does it mean by yellow stool? What is it? Anybody ever pass yellow stool here? Yeah. Okay. So the color of the stool differs according to what you eat, right? Is there a healthy color to stool? No, actually there is. Yeah. Anyway, we won't talk too much. Well, that'll be another class, okay? We'll talk about the different colors of stool. Well, you say ooh, but every day you're passing stool, so you should know what the different colors mean. Right? Just like there's different colors of urine, there's different colors of stool also. It means something. Okay, so now it says, then we discuss the phrase, book knowledge without realization of supreme truth is useless. Then we discussed the verse, Atak Shri Krishna Namadi, which is in the purport, the 6-8. Pay attention to all this. This is a rehashing, or this is a summary of what we're supposed to have learned today, right? And we connected this verse, Atak Shri Krishna Namadi, to the verse in the Vedanta Sutra mentioned in, yes? What? Give her a microphone. Give her a microphone.
Oh, okay, never mind.
What?
Sorry, I just asked which number the verse was.
6-8. All right, I said it about 10 times. 6-8. Chapter 6, verse number 8. Then in the purport, we studied the phrase, book knowledge without realization of supreme truth is useless. And then, and then we studied the verse Atak Shri Krishna Namadi Nabhavet Grayam Indiyai, which is from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the Nectar of Devotion of Rupa Goswami, where he says, you can't understand Krishna with the blunt material senses. That means contaminated senses. But, he says, on the other hand, when the senses become purified through devotional service, then you can understand the transcendental name, form, quality, and pastimes of the Lord, because they're revealed to you. So, what's the difference between academic knowledge and revealed knowledge? That was another thing we discussed. What's the difference between academic knowledge and revealed knowledge? Yes, Sai. Chanting and doing service, right? Academic knowledge is based on, okay, let's write this down. Academic knowledge is what you can learn with the contaminated senses. You can learn things like everything, life comes from chemicals. That's academic knowledge. It's what you learn with contaminated senses. What's that?
They say academic knowledge is good in your school.
I know, because your school is contaminated. That's why. Academic knowledge is what you learn with contaminated senses, right? Using the system of empiricism. Empiricism is what you can see with contaminated senses. And spiritual knowledge is learning with purified senses. And academic knowledge is something learned, and spiritual knowledge is revealed. There's a major difference between the two. Spiritual knowledge is revealed. Sidhu, what is spiritual knowledge?
Spiritual knowledge is when things are
Yes. Yes, it's related, everything is related to Krishna, right? But you can, how do you see spiritual knowledge? What kind of senses do you need to see spiritual knowledge? Sidhu. What kind of senses do you need?
purified senses.
I didn't call on Krishna. What? Yeah, you were not able to answer that question because you were talking and not listening. Okay, Yeah, purified senses. And academic knowledge you learn with contaminated senses. Okay. And academic knowledge is called Aroha, A-R-O-H-A. Aroha, A-R-O-H-A. Write that down. Academic knowledge is Aroha, A-R-O-H-A. That means ascending, going up the ladder. And spiritual knowledge is Avaroha, A-V-A-R-O-H-A. Academic knowledge is Aroha, A-R-O-H-A, and it means ascending, going up the ladder. A-S-C-E-N-D-I-N-G. Huh? And spiritual knowledge is Avaroha, A-V-A-R-O-H-A, meaning it's descending, coming down. So there's an escalator going up, the escalator coming down. So, no, academic knowledge is Aroha. And spiritual knowledge is Avaroha. So therefore, spiritual knowledge is revealed. It comes down from Krishna to you. And academic knowledge is Aroha. You're trying to go up to Krishna. Will you ever reach Krishna? No. Through academic? No. Impossible. Okay. And then we discussed real science and junk science. What's the difference between real science and junk science, or mundane knowledge and transcendental knowledge? Write all these words down. Real science, junk science, transcendental knowledge, mundane knowledge. Write these words down. Write the words down. Real knowledge, junk knowledge, and I'm sorry, junk science and real science, and mundane knowledge and real knowledge. Yes?
Is real science Bhagavad Gita?
Yes. What is real science? Yes, go ahead. It can be? Yeah, it can be validated. It means the same thing as proved right. It can be validated anywhere. On the moon, on Brahmaloka, on Patalaloka, in China, in America, on the South Pole, on the North Pole, under the ocean, above the ocean. Everywhere it's true. And junk science, it's only true in a very small, limited, relative framework. And even there, it's not true all the time. Even there, it's not true all the time. So, yes?
Can you repeat what junk science means?
Junk science is relative truth, and relative only to a very limited framework. For example, Newton's laws of mechanics are only true in the framework of macroscopic objects moving under the force of gravity. Huh? They're the same. Yeah. But when you get to microscopic atomic particles going at the speed of light, it's not true anymore. Then you have to use another theory. You see, so it's only, mundane knowledge is only true in a specific relative framework. But spiritual knowledge is true everywhere in every situation, in any place, every place. Okay? So then we discussed Okay, we connected the two verses, Atak Shri Krishna Namadi, from Rupa Goswami's Nectar Devotion, to the verse in the Vedanta Sutra, quoted in Bhagavad Gita 9th chapter, 2nd verse, in the purport, in the 7th paragraph, Prakasas Chakarmani Abhyasat, which means that devotional service is so potent, so powerful, that simply by engaging in the activities of devotional service, one becomes enlightened without a doubt. Or that if one is engaged simply in the acts of devotional service, everything is revealed to him or her automatically, and he can understand everything. And that is real pratyaksha, or spiritual pratyaksha, as opposed to mundane pratyaksha. What does pratyaksha mean? Yes, Sai. Direct perception, right. So, faulty direct perception is mundane pratyaksha. And transcendental direct perception is spiritual pratyaksha. Pratyaksha is what? It's one of the three what? One of the three, yes? What? Huh? Speak loudly so I can hear you. What did you say? Yeah, the Sanskrit word for that is? The Sanskrit word starts with a P.
Yeah. Pratraksha.
Huh?
Pratraksha.
No, it's pramana. Pramana means evidence. Evidences by which you can determine what is true from what is false. Okay? Those are Vedic pramanas. So pratyaksha is the first pramana. What's the second pramana? Shivani?
Anumana.
Anumana, which means?
Guess or inference.
Educated guess, okay. Yeah. And the example of anumana is?
When you see smoke, then you infer it's fire?
Yes, the infer that it's coming from fire. Right. Is it true in all cases? No, because our senses are imperfect. And there can be cases where something looks like smoke, but there's actually no fire. Yes? P-R-A-Y A-K P-R-A-Y-A-K projection, let's see here. P-R-A-T-Y-A-K-S-A P-R-A-T-Y-A-K-S-A Pratyaksha. P-R-A-Y Pratyak A-K-S-A P-R-A-T, I'm sorry, P-R-A-T-Y-A-K-S-A. It's 3 syllables. P-R-A-T dash Y-A-K dash S-A. Pratyaksha. Okay, yes. What does pratyaksha mean? It means to see directly with your eyes. So either you can see directly with eyes contaminated by sense gratification, or you can see eyes that are purified. So you see differently. Just like if you have glasses that are unclean, that are dirty, can you see the same way that if your glasses are very clean? No. So pratyaksha is seeing with dirty glasses. So you don't really see very well. But when you clean the mirror of the mind, Cheto darpana marjanam bhava mahatavagni nirvapanam Sherak Kairavya Chandrika Vitaranam Vidya Vadhu Jivanam Anandam Buddhivardhanam Pratipradam Purnam Ritasvadanam Sarvatma Snapanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. So it says Cheto Darpana Marjanam, your consciousness is purified of all junk. All junk meaning all desires for sense gratification. Then you can see properly. But as long as that junk is in, you have Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck and Dumbo and this one and that one in the mind, Harry Potter, then you can't see properly. It's too much junk and gunk in the brain. So you only see things in terms of Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, and Dumbo, and Cinderella, and so forth. You don't see in terms of Krishna, Balaram, Subhadra, Narasingha, and so forth. Okay. So these were things that we discussed today. And then there was one, let's see, what else? Yes. And then we talked about Narada Muni, who was never educated. He never went to school. But yet, he's the guru of Vyasadeva. How did that happen? Who wrote all the Vedas? He's the smartest person in the whole universe. So how did that happen? How is it that a person is uneducated? Well, he was uneducated in academic knowledge, but he was educated in spiritual knowledge. And spiritual knowledge, Bhagavad Gita, is real science as opposed to junk science. So how did he become so educated that he becomes the guru of Vyasadeva? Yes, Sanskriti. Is that the answer?
He rendered service to pure devotees, and he listened to their lectures, and he ate their remnants with their permission.
Yeah, he ate the remnants of their prasadam,
Yeah.
which is called Maha Prasadam, when it's the remnants of a pure devotee. Okay, we're going to stop right there. Are there any questions you want to ask? So homework for next week. Yes. Oh, wait, give her the microphone. Go ahead, take the microphone. Yes.
What was the third type of pramana?
A pramana?
Yeah.
Sabda, S-A-B-D-A. S-A-B-D-A. That is hearing knowledge from a perfect authority. Just like right now we're hearing knowledge from Krishna and Srila Prabhupada, who's representing all the Vaishnava acharyas. So if you hear perfect knowledge from a perfect source, even though you're imperfect, you can still understand perfect knowledge. If you hear it with attention and repeat it as you have heard it. Even though we're imperfect, we have imperfect senses, but we can still get perfect knowledge. Huh? Okay, our homework for next week is explain the difference between mundane academic knowledge and transcendental spiritual knowledge. Write this down. The difference between mundane academic knowledge and transcendental spiritual knowledge. And at the same time, explain the difference between junk science and real science. Junk science and real science. So, let's see. Krishna, do you know what homework is for next week? And what's his name? I keep forgetting his name. What's his name? Agastya. You know what the homework is for next week? Can you look in your watch and tell me what the homework is?
The difference between mundane knowledge and spiritual knowledge.
There's more than that, but that's a good start.
Explain the difference between junk science
And real science. So, can you, Agastya, can you